Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church to the microphone. Father Jim. Father Jim.
First thing that came to mind was, wasn't that a great meal? Thank you very much. We are, again, so happy. Now you've been here, we're almost halfway through, and I want to welcome you again. We're again happy to have you. Those speeches were phenomenal. That was gave us a lot to chew on mentally. Gone on long enough.
We have a little treat for you as well. I wanted to let you know in front of you there's a little small, we can't let you go away because we don't want you to be hungry. So we have a little treat in front of you of little M&Ms in the, looks like a Greek flag box. I also wanted to tell you, please take that home with you. We wanted to thank, again, Cindy Deddy and Renee Graves for the beautiful decorations. And Cindy did a little bit about Memphis at each of your tables. So take a minute and take a look at those. Just a little bit of Memphis knowledge so we'd have it. Also, at each of your tables is our program book. And Renee Graves put that together for us. We want to thank everybody who donated. Oh my gosh, y'all were just so amazing from the bottom of your heart, all over. We were just touched about how much donations that we received, and just so proud of everything that you all gave. And again, we're so proud of all of the speakers. So please take this as a token as part of the weekend. And thank your communities for everything and for supporting us for this event. I believe at this time we'll have a greeting from His Eminence Metropolitan Nicholas. Are you going to speak to us a little bit? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Eminence Metropolitan Nicholas.
Christos Anesti. Christ is risen. Christos Amviat. El Messiah come. Christu virtu. In any language, it's the same. Christ is risen. I must, on behalf of the Metropolis Council and on behalf of all of our Metropolis clergy, welcome His Eminence, our Archbishop, all the families and the young people who are here in the metropolis of Detroit, here in our Memphis community, enjoying this wonderful day. We live in an age where, as we were informed, the cursor is waiting. But sometimes the cursor has to be replaced by the hand. The hand is irreplaceable. You in this time period are brought together from throughout the country to meet and visit, talk, know each other. It's an important aspect of maturation and of growth, and it's an important aspect for our faith to have you as the Orthodox Christians meeting each other. We heard today 18 different talks. Each one of those talks gave to us as bishops, as archbishop, as clergy, a new way to hear again our faith, because it comes from you. Usually we're the ones that talk. Sometimes it's good for us to listen. And today, in listening to our young people, I would express my absolute joy at the opportunity to hear them stand up for their faith, at the opportunity to hear them talk about what it means to be an Orthodox Christian and to witness in their words some of their own sense of religious self-discovery. So in welcoming you, we're really here because our Archbishop is here. And I am appreciative of this opportunity as well to be here. So to His Eminence, who has given me this opportunity and the opportunity to the parish and the metropolis to host, we say thank you. Christos Anesti to all of you.
What a wonderful honor for me to say this. We are so happy to have you. And from all of us in our community, we welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, please greet His Eminence, Archbishop Demetrius.
Thank you. Please be seated. I need some time to be able to communicate with you properly. I cannot limit myself to the 2 or 3 minutes of the competitive people, because I have plenty of stuff to cover. So I'm starting with some technicalities that are related, but not yet going to the heart of the matter. This is a very nice brochure. It's a collector's item in the sense of producing a very visible picture of the program here and an amazing center fold of the unusual contribution by this community to this 30th festival. The list of people and organizations of Memphis that contributed to the metropolis is setting a record. But there is another reason for this to be a collector's item. Collector's items sometimes are important because of some mistakes. There is a mistake on the very last phrase of this edition. It says, "We hope you enjoyed your time in Memphis as much as we enjoyed meeting all of you. Kala taksidi." Wrong. You either say kalo taksidi or kala taksidya, plural. You cannot construct an adjective in singular with a noun in the plural. That's one of the typographical things that make an item collector's item. I'm talking as a specialist in cottages, okay, others. Number 2, we are meeting here in a beautiful community hall. And this is a gift of Mr. and Mrs. Kotros, basically, if I'm not wrong. So I would like to express publicly the thanks of the Church to this kind of benefactors that give us this kind of elegant, full of light, and beautiful, simply beautiful place. Then I would like to also join the previous speakers in expressing our thanks for the food. Very tasty. Of course, with plenty of calories, for people who are conscious of calories, and plenty of cholesterol stuff. But taste superb. So thank you for the really, really tasteful food, and also for the decoration of the tables. This blue and white, these nice candles that have, they have a combination of blue and white, the flowers on each table. It's a beautiful thing to have this type of setting. I think is Cindy Dati, the one that is responsible. So thank you for this director. We have now the 18 young people who participated into this kind of competition. First of all, just let me remind all of us that this is St. John's Festival. St. John was born, raised, and for a considerable part of his life in Antioch, Syria. Syria today, the place of birth of St. John Chrysostom, is a place of tremendous ordeal for the Christian community and the people in general. So then just think that it's not simply here some talk. It's a talk related to a great father of the church who is from a place which is tormented today as a place. Then we have the speakers. The speakers started, all of them, with a basic movement gesture that a good speaker does, fixing the position of the microphone. You have people who have been for years talking and they never are conscious of the microphone. The microphone is here, they speak there. The microphone is down, they speak up. Today, all the speakers, first movement, raised to the point of mouth. Wonderful. Number two, impressive today, impressive number, almost all, that rarely look at the manuscript. In fact, one came so daring, even without the manuscript, one of the 18. Just he had the whole thing by heart. Now, to present something by heart, if you do that in your separate room, it's one thing. But to do that in, first of all, as a place, a church, then the audience, then thinking that somehow you are under judgment, and yet to perform with ease, looking, and you know, as I was listening, we were listening to our wonderful young people, the way they did, without looking. So today we spoke about this and about that and this and that, and I remember, of course it's not the same, but I remember our politicians and our official people, they have to have the two invisible things left and right, not to speak properly, okay? There is no such a thing today. There was nothing. It was just invisible. It was just in the brain. You have to be praised, you young people, for that. It shows an ability. And you know, this is much more important. Because you, you are the generation of texting. Texting is one of the worst things that have happened in damaging language, right? Hi, yeah, ooh. Say a full phrase to understand what are you talking about. With monosyllables, exclamation points, quotation marks. Now, for people who are growing this kind of way, to come and speak full sentences, beautiful construction, is a miracle. Sometimes I have been doing that, I'm challenging some good friends and colleagues at the university in linguistics. They say, well, this and that. I said, look, and they complain. I said, look, there is a problem here with this texting and emailing and all this kind of type of communication, but still we have quite a number of people, young people, that are able to really, are very articulate. And sometimes they ask, do you know some of them? I say, I know many of them, not some of several, just many. Now this is a proof here today. Today we enjoyed full, beautiful language, full, human communication. And you have to be praised. That's much more than getting an award. And the process of production of this kind of work. Now here I make a parenthesis so that you wouldn't accuse me that I'm talking in a way that is not continuous. So I'm consciously stopping my continuity here to introduce something. It has to do with Dr. Anton Vreem. Dr. Anton Vreem is the director of the religious department of the Archdiocese. He is a graduate of Holy Cross School of Theology. And he was one of my best students when I was a professor there. So in one of the courses that he took with me, Dr. Vreem, Mr. Anton Vreem at that time, it was a requirement of the course to produce a paper. So he comes with a paper. I read the paper, I said, Anton, this is a very good paper. This could be published just with a little bit of work we do, and it's publishable in an official scholarly periodical. He did the thing. Then I said, here we have someone who is staff for a PhD. Lo and behold, he finished, and he said, well, I'm applying, and I said, if you apply, we would do anything possible with recommendation letters, etc. Boston College, he finishes. The story, I can tell you, started with this paper he wrote in one of the courses in the university. Ladies and gentlemen of the competition, I can tell you today, what you did with participating might be a catalyst for your future in what you are going to do in life, especially on the intellectual level. Is not a simple participation into something. It might be a seminal item that has very many implications. Here close the parenthesis. Dr. Anton, I'm stopping here with the parenthesis, and I'm continue. In addition to the usage of the microphone and the easy of things like that, I was very impressed by the very proper usage and abundant usage of biblical material. Some of you, you did it in a very, how to put it, with a dexterity in language and usage. In one case, I noticed I use a term, it's a rondo structure. What was a rondo structure? You start with a passage of the Bible. In fact, it was a long passage with the fruits of the Spirit. Love, joy, endurance, 9. You start with that, you analyze in your speech, and you close exactly with the same passage. It's a rondo movement. As it happened in music, start with a theme, you end exactly with a theme, and the audience, the listener, has something very clear in his mind, in her mind. It's the idea of developing a theme that starts and ends, helps in terms of memorization. And there are techniques in speaking, and I don't know if you did, who did it. I know who did it, I have it here. But if he did it knowing that he uses a technique, or it was a natural kind of thing, but the effect was the same. So here we have this kind of thing, and if I may also offer technical information in terms of citation of biblical text. If you cite an Old Testament passage, you use the term book for the reference. You say, from the book of Genesis of Old Testament, the book of Psalms, the book of Proverbs, the book of Kings, the book of Prophet Isaiah, you have the term book for each of the 49 pieces of the Old Testament. When you go to the New Testament, you don't say the book of Matthew. You say the Gospel of Matthew. You say the Gospel of John. When you say go to Paul, you don't say the book of Romans. You have the epistle of St. Paul to Romans or the letter. Just a technical information, because you people are aimed at perfection. I would like for you to be perfect when using biblical references. So that's the proper way. Book for citing an Old Testament text, just the name with either evangelist or gospel or epistle, letter for Paul. Can I continue or is it too much? Okay, let me continue a little bit more. Some of the people came up with a natural smile. Natural smile is something that is almost permanently on a face. Some people have it. It's a combination of the expression of the eyes and the mouth. Some of the people have to smile deliberately. Some of the people have a serious face as a natural face. So I was enjoying the various facial expressions today. I must tell you. Everybody smiled when it was a photograph. For some ridiculous reason, really. Not for serious reason, but people feel that they have to smile. I don't know. Anyway, I'm doing that myself too, so it's not unusual. But again, the facial expression is important. We convey messages not only through the word, but also through our eyes, through our expression of faith. It's important for a speaker. And here was a speaking kind of situation. So I would like to just mention it. The other thing that was important today was the very limited gestures. What happened, if you are familiar with the way some actors act on television or movies or videos or other occasions, you see how they use their hands. The classic actors, especially the old schools, they were very effective through their facial and voice expression, not with many gestures. You have some people, especially in the comedian side, who are like clowns, moving hands and feet, try by all means to make the people laugh. If they don't have a proper joke for the people to laugh. So you try all sorts of things. There is a Greek term, karagioslikia, for the people who know the Greek, which plays a role of funny fellow, moving all peculiar kind of gestures. But if you have a powerful speaker, he doesn't use much of hands. Today, I noticed it was a minimalistic approach, Your Eminence, I noticed, of hands. In fact, one of the persons speaking today, no gesture, but at the end makes the sign of the cross as part of the presentation. And another one, the sign of the cross at the beginning. Otherwise, very limited gestures. Just remember the power of the word. That's the essence. Gestures don't save. Some people try in vain to do this and that. Threatening gestures, imploring gestures, ridiculous gestures. No way, just a word. Can you have the proper language? One more thing, a technique. If you are in a meeting and there is a rabbi, or might not be a rabbi, but for a rabbi might be even more frequent. And he has to say something. Normally he uses some Hebrew phrase. It's almost predictable. He says something, I'm so glad to be with you, and then continues. It would be a nice idea, since you people have the ability to use sometimes the original language of a biblical passage. When we have the tremendous advantage of the Gospels, and today the passages, you mentioned John 15, I am the vine. You could say, I am the vine. Εγώ είμαι η άμπελος in the original. You cannot imagine the power that this kind of reference will give to what you are saying. And then you have to explain. Don't let something just hang around as an unknown factor. But especially when you have the Greek, and allow me here again, parenthesis, we were in a celebration, not celebration, a memory anniversary of the September 11 in New York, and President Bush came, and it was in a big church close to Ground Zero. So it was a ecumenical kind of service, and they asked me to read a piece from St. Paul's epistle, one of St. Paul's epistles. So I said, I'll take a risk here and I'll do something. So I said, just in this kind of audience, and I said, allow me to read the text that we have to read today, first in the original. So they look at me. And I read, it was 3-4 verses from one of St. Paul's epistle in the original. And I said, and now the translation in modern English. And read the translation. We finished, and after that we have a few words, and the President Bush says to me, that was a beautiful idea, he said. Here a little bit of the original of St. Paul, he said. This is the Bible, he said. And you have it in your original language. I said, yes. Goodness, that's a good idea. So I said, Mr. President, I thought it was a good idea. That's what I dared this in front of you and the other people of this audience. So do that sometime. Just you insert. You have a wonderful example in this wonderful metropolitan. If you notice, you see how many times he uses French expressions or other expressions. Today he presented 6 expressions of Christos Anesti. It's something. So it's something. I mean, keep it in mind that this is something that we have in our possibility, in our way to use it. I'm closing also with a very personal aspect that was in some of the presentations, especially dealing with prayer involved. It was a nice thing to hear from some of the presenters about Papu and Yaya. It was a very nice thing to hear about Patriarch Bartholomew. It was a nice thing to have references, although Milan 313 gave the possibility to Christianity to go out as a free now religion, and by the way, that was the starting point of building churches. Up to that point, worship was done either in private homes or in cemeteries. From 313, you start having the first churches. You reach Hagia Sophia in the 500 something, And from then on, you have a tremendous development of the really superb Byzantine architecture. So this 313 is something important, but as correctly pointed by the speaker, persecutions didn't end with that. They ended up in the Roman Empire. But just 2 centuries later, not 2 centuries, 1 century later, in the middle of the 5th century, 450 something, it was a massacre of Christians in contemporary Iran, at that time Persia. It was 500,000 massacred because they were Christians. It was one of the most effective persecutions ever. And the presenter spoke about Russia, Soviet Union actually, about places in Africa. It's a reality. And just let me close by saying that the people who most suffer in the Middle East are not the Muslims or the Jews, are the Christians. This is why the Middle East seems to be in a very rapid and appalling way being evacuated in terms of Christian population, because they are persecuted. Okay. I think I should stop here, because among other things, it's not only that I don't want to prolong what I'm saying, but I don't want to prolong the anxiety of the results. But now, as an introduction to what follows, is something that, and this is not a rhetorical scheme, it's a reality, that all the participants are really winners, all the 18 people. They offer such a high quality. A proof of that is the impasse in which the judges have found themselves. You don't know what to do with this type of material. If you have a group of students, have A, and you say, choose 2. How can I? That's the case. So everyone here today, and I have to tell you, Metropolitan Nicholas and Dr. Vreme, who is a specialist, and Presbyter Orphanagos, who works for 29 years, to be precise, because they didn't start from year 1, I think, right? They are the experts in that kind of thing, but that comes from us as people who really are very appreciative of this tremendous offering of the young people today. So everybody is a person that is worthy of recognition. For technical reasons, you do something. Sometimes in similar occasions, they use lots. They put the names in a basket and draw 2 lots. We don't do that. Maybe we might consider the idea. That's also the other rewards are following everyone, so that we congratulate all of the people present here. We thank the organizers, I mean the Father and Presbyter Orphanagos and Dr. Vreme, and then the local people that took the responsibility here. We are immensely thankful to them. And of course, above all, His Eminence Metropolitan Nicholas, the really wonderful shepherd of this metropolis, and Father James, who from the moment we got out of the plane yesterday till now has been really an extremely helpful person, and the people who gave us the ride yesterday and today. It's really, we left New York in a condition of rain, almost flood, and we came to a flood of love and hospitality. and that's the case.
Well, you took my line. I was about to tell all of the presenters before we did the presentation of the awards that you are indeed all winners, because it took you a long journey to get to this point. And we are now going to do the presentation of awards. But before we do, if it's okay with you, I'd love for them all to stand up for us to give them a huge round of applause. Bravo to all of you. I think they deserve a standing ovation, if you ask me. Bravo, bravo, bravo. All right, at this time, for the presentation of the awards, His Eminence Archbishop Demetrios, and yes, His Eminence Metropolitan Nicholas, Dr. Anton Krem, Reverend Father John Orphanakos, Presbyterian Margaret Orphanakos, and would you like to take the microphone? Thank you.
Thank you, Christos Anesti. Before we begin with the presentation of awards to our finalists, we want to present something to our host committee, and we ask Father James to come up, please, and Stephanie, Dr. Stephanie, for a minute. Presented to the Church of the Annunciation, Memphis, Tennessee, with gratitude and appreciation for hosting the